Thank you for listening to this Podcast One production, available on Apple Podcasts and Podcast One.
There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. A new week, a new weekend, but your same old buddies. Dave and Tim here. This is Beyond the Darkness, your home for the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. It's supernatural news and Parashare. We've got some calls, you say, Tim. Calls from listeners?
Yes, we have 2 calls this week, Dave.
Excellent. How exciting. 651-300-4977. If you have a story to share, we encourage you to do that. You can call in and tell us your personal ghost stories. We want to hear them. We want to share them. We want other listeners to hear. And you can leave up to a 3-minute message. If your story is longer than 3 minutes, just call right back and continue with your story. Tim will knit them together into one spiffy little special, and we'll air it on an upcoming episode. But be a part of the program with us. We want to hear your voices telling us your stories. Call our Voices from Beyond voicemail, 651-300-4977, just like this caller.
Hey, Dave and Tim. My name's Kyle. I've called in before. I'm originally from the Chicago area. And I got a story that I've been kind of reluctant to call in and talk about for a while, just because I don't think it's all that exciting, really. But, like, you guys really want some listeners to call in with some stories. And if there is one time in my life where I saw something that I kind of have zero explanation for, this would be it. So let me just take you guys back. This was about, I want to say March or February of 2010. And I had just graduated high school in 2008. And I spent a couple of years after that kind of just drifting around, not really doing much, but just hanging out with friends and stuff. And so I was hanging out with a friend at his house. We'll call him John. And we were at John's house with a couple other guys. And we would just play video games mostly, just hang out. And we weren't allowed to, a couple of friends smoked cigarettes. I didn't, but we weren't allowed to smoke inside the house, so there would always be smoke breaks outside. And this one time I joined them outside. We were just kind of talking. It wasn't too late at night. It's probably maybe like 9, 10 p.m., but it's the middle of like that weird winter, spring time in the Midwest where it's technically spring, but everything's still freezing, and it was still dark. But anyways, we're all standing outside the house, and he lives right on a intersection of this street called Waver and Garrity. And Waver is a dead-end road that's not very long at all. And so is Garrity. But anyway, so we're just chilling there, and just out of nowhere, I see a person come running along that street that's called Waver, and they're running in full sprint. And all I really see is black. It looks like a male that was maybe like 5'10", 5'11", and it had on a dark coat, dark pants, and all I could see was like dark hair on their head. I couldn't see any type of facial features. And so as this person came running full sprint, he started to turn onto the next street, which was Garrity, which was the street that my friend John's house was adjacent to. And as the dark figure person started to make his turn and get approximately only like 20 or so feet from us, it completely vanished. It may sound kind of cliche, a dark figure, all of a sudden it's gone, but I'm telling you, it was a guy, and although I said I couldn't make out any facial features, I know this is kind of just ridiculous, but the resemblance I got from looking at it was Bruce Lee. I couldn't make out any facial features to tell if it was like an Asian guy or anything like that, but just from his movements and his speed, I got the hunch that this was like an athletic person, and like I said, the first thing I thought of was Bruce Lee when I think moving. And then when it just completely vanished, I immediately turned to everybody, did you see that? Did you see that? And the thing is, they said, yeah, but what they described to me was nothing like. One of my friend John, as we'll call him, there's a ghost around here. It's an old man in white, and people say they see him running at night. But that wasn't anything like what I saw, so I don't know. And like I said, this was the one time in my whole life where I saw something and I just could not explain it whatsoever. The direction that the figure had originally come from was a total dead-end road that led to nothing but some woods before it hit back on a main road again. And that's about it to my story. Like I said, it wasn't nothing too exciting, but also, like I said, I'm probably saying that phrase too much, but it was just so strange, and I have no explanation for it. I hope your listeners and you guys thought this was interesting enough to share on the show, and keep doing all the good stuff you guys do. I really enjoy the show. Thank you.
All right, very cool. You now know the number to call, 651-300-4977. Share your stories. And we've got a couple of big announcements to make, Tim. I'm pretty excited. It's been a busy couple of weeks here.
Yes, it is.
But first of all, you and I have been promising an iPhone app for about 23 years.
Yeah, yep.
Which is, I think, before iPhone apps existed. But we were confident we would get one even back then.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had to pool our resources. We've sold everything from bodily fluids to hair samples. One of my children, Tim, sold off his entire collection of pro wrestler dolls and
they're
inflatable ones.
Action figures, yeah. Dave. Well, action figures.
They were seeing a lot of action with you, that's for sure.
Hey.
But we've had to sell them all off. We've got official app coming out, so keep checking. If you're an iTunes or iPhone user, make sure you continue to check the iPhone store for the Darkness Radio app. Darkness Radio app will be available any moment. It should be out any day now. That's what we've been promised. We paid an assload of money. It's true, Tim. I weighed it. I stuffed it in and pulled it out, and I can tell you it's definitely an assload.
You didn't hand over the money unwashed, did you? After you put it in your ass and took it off?
Not my problem.
Yeah.
I had to measure it. But we've got it. It'll be out. So keep checking. iPhone users, your day has come. You can now get the Darkness Radio app. And thank you so much for your patience all these 32 years. We appreciate it, but it's up and available. For those of you that are Droid users and you're thinking, well, what the hell? There's an iPhone app? What about us? What about the Droid users? Dave and Tim. Well, pull your head out of your ass. We've had one in the Droid store, the Google Play Store, for about 28 years already, Tim.
Yeah, it's been there a long time. Yeah.
We keep telling people, go. It's the Darkness Radio app. As a matter of fact, it just got updated. So for those of you that have the regular version, you might want to go into your Google Play Store and make sure that you've got the most updated version. Just go into your apps. It'll tell you what needs to be updated, but make sure you update the app so you can get all the cooler features, updates, and everything that we've got going on. So go check it out for you in the Google Play Store for Droid users. And for those of you iPhone users, again, check the iPhone Store app. I don't know I'm not an Apple guy, Tim. So what do they call it? An iPhone Store?
It's not an iPhone store. It's simply well, here, let me go to. I have to go to my phone actually to look at it. But you simply go to the App Store, Dave. Is what it is. The
App Store.
Yeah,
that's it. Just straight up App Store.
It's just a straight up App Store, and then you download it from there. Yeah.
So there you go. There you go. There you have it. If it's not up right now on today, this Sunday that you're listening to this program, or maybe a few days after, it will be within a day or two.
Right.
So just keep checking. And it should be available. We're very excited about that. And that's not the only excitement, Tim.
No?
Nope. I've got some pretty big news.
Ooh.
Pretty big news, Tim.
Ooh.
Oh, there's an addition to my family, Tim.
There is?
There is. Not only am I doing Midnight in the Desert 5 nights a week, Beyond the Darkness Saturdays and Sundays with you, and True Crime Tuesday every Tuesday, Tim, I'm adding another family member. The Holzer Files officially begins airing on the Travel Channel this October 3rd. It is 10 episodes. It'll take you through October and November, and I think even into the first 2 weeks of December, if I'm counting my weeks out right. But I'm very excited. This has been the project I've been working on the better part of this year. It is a great project, and we are very excited to be a part of it. I'll be working alongside medium Cindy Keza and our techie, Shane Pittman. He'll be leading the technical revolution for us and investigating some really amazing places, and all thanks to the Holzer family. Alexandra Holzer and her family have gone through the files, have worked through it. They've put together this team and allowed us to go back and re-examine some of her father's most famous cases. And some of these were cases that left Hans Holzer unsettled. He knew that there had been an answer at that point, but he wasn't exactly positive that the whole story had been told. And we have been keying in on those cases to see if we could get full resolution and add to the extensive catalog of case files for Hans Holzer. And Hans Holzer, for those of you that don't know, shame on you, is one of the grandfathers, if you would, godfathers of the paranormal field. He is also known as America's first ghost hunter. He wrote, I think, around 7,256,000 books, Tim. I could be off on my numbers.
Maybe.
It's either 60 or 7 million. He's definitely in there somewhere. But it's been a real challenge, a real excitement, and I'm proud to be a part of this program. We try to take a different stance on the way this unfolds, and I think I'm confident that our listeners who've been so supportive of us since we started the show back in 1873, Tim, I'm confident they're going to like this TV show. Now, Tim is not a part of the TV show, and trust me, it breaks my heart as much as it breaks your guys' hearts. But he will be here with me every Saturday and Sunday on Beyond the Darkness, every True Crime Tuesday. Plus, he remains one of my faithful and loyal fill-in hosts on Midnight in the Desert. Just schedules and conflicts and everything that goes on in the real world. We don't do every project together. I know people. I think they think we're. I know Siamese twins is not the proper terminology anymore. What do they call it? Conjoined twins, Tim?
I think it's conjoined. Yeah.
People get baffled. They're like, "Oh, Dave's at a Taco Bell cutting a ribbon. Where's Tim? Oh, Dave's pooping in a stall at the airport. Where's Tim?" I'm allowed to do a few things on my own, Tim. I don't know why people always think. I mean, do they ever come up to you at wrestling and go, "How come Dave's not wrestling, Tim?"
Actually, they do, yeah.
Well, I understand that because they want to just watch you beat me with a steel chair. Pretty sure that's the only reason they want to see me at the wrestling. But, yeah, so this is exciting. I'm very happy to be a part of the Holzer Files and a new addition to our media family. So now, again, you get me 5 nights a week on Midnight in the Desert, 2 days a weekend on Beyond the Darkness, every True Crime Tuesday, and now starting October 3rd, every Thursday on the Travel Channel. And do me a favor. If you set the TV show to record, please try to watch the show within 2 days, because that helps to keep the ratings bolstered. It's not only live screenings of it, but it's who watches it within 2 days of DVRing it. And great programs sometimes don't make it a second or third season because everybody DVRs them, and then once the series is over, they power through them. So the viewers were there, but they just didn't watch it in the manner that the current rating system works. So if you could, just do me a favor and watch the episodes shortly after they air. I'd appreciate it, and so would the rest of the cast. So again, thank you to Alexandra Holzer and the Holzer family for allowing us this amazing opportunity, and I had a great time working with Shane and Cindy, and I think you guys are going to like what we've put together for you. So that's the big news going on in my world, Tim. Pretty exciting stuff.
That is completely awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
it's pretty neat. And I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, as the show progresses, season 2, season 3, they were talking about us trying to bring in some guest investigators. And I immediately thought, if that happens, I definitely want to incorporate Tim. So I'm going to have Tim help me find some guest investigators to bring on. Oh, no, that's not what I meant. I'll bring Tim on.
But Dave, you'll break my streak. I have a streak now of 13 years of not appearing on television.
Well,
you realize that, right?
Stop. Well, there was America's Most Wanted and 2 episodes of Cops. I mean, you were in drag in all 3 of those, so people probably didn't recognize you.
Right. I don't mean
paranormal TV program.
Yeah,
I guess
that's what I mean. I mean, being on television and being recognized is what I mean. Incognito. Sure, I've been on television, but not,
Tim, in the hearts of the world, you've been recognized for 13 years.
Oh wait, Dave, I'm sorry. I was on television once as a 6'2" black man, but other than that, I've never been on television. I forgot about that. For those
of you that don't know what he's talking about, I did an episode of a TV program called Haunted Hospitals, which is a Canadian-based television program, and then aired here in the United States on the Travel Channel. And in telling my story, which you guys have heard us share on this program in the past about my ghostly encounters at a hospital after my gallbladder surgery, and relating that it was Tim who came to visit me when I had one of the weirder, most profound moments. For some reason, still unbeknownst to both of us, they represented Tim with a 6'4" bodybuilding black man.
Yeah, well, hey,
Yeah, which is kind of Tim's inner animal. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's my spirit animal. I got soul. Not gonna lie.
Damn it. We're going to get flack for that. We don't mean animal in a derogatory sense. We just mean Tim. Tim has always wanted to be a 6'4" muscular, bald black man by my side in a hospital. That's all
I'm straight funky.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So that's it. So yeah, you kind of made it on TV, Tim, with that episode. Yeah. So
why did I ever?
I don't know, but it was exciting for you nonetheless, wasn't it, to finally see the real you on TV, Tim?
I had my family gathered around the TV. I said, wait, here I come. Are you ready? There I am. What the?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I don't care who you are. That's funny, Tim.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
60 seconds. That's exactly how long this commercial lasts. You know what else you can do in about a minute? Well, you can get an offer for your car with TrueCar. That's right. In the amount of time it takes to floss your teeth, pet your dog, do a few sit-ups, or see Tim flicker on the TV screen on Haunted Hospitals, you can get a true cash offer. Best of all, you can do it from your smartphone or home. Just go to TrueCar. Simply enter your license plate number and watch your car's details pile up. Answer a few questions and you'll get an accurate true cash offer from a local TrueCar certified dealer. It's that easy. After that, you can bring your car in and they'll check it out with you together, hand in hand, Tim.
Oh.
You can ask questions, get the answers you need, and there's never any surprises like turning into a TV show and finding out that you're being represented by somebody of a different race, height, and weight. Oh. That's a surprise, but there are no surprises like that with TrueCar. Simply leave that day with your check or trade in your car for a new ride. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today. Pluto TV. That's the leading free streaming television service. Tim and I have been talking about it for over a year now. You can watch over 100 TV channels, thousands. Tim, did you hear that? When I say thousands of movies.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That's tens of hundreds for people that don't know. Tens of hundreds of movies, thousands of them, all on demand. And do you know how much you have to pay for them, Tim?
$14.95.
That's correct. You are very far off. Try again, Tim. How much do you have to pay for 100 TV channels and thousands of movies on demand, all for free on Pluto TV?
$32.95 a month.
Tim, what part of all for free are you not picking up on when I mentioned that?
Most of it.
Yeah, you don't need a credit card. It's never needed to sign up. There is no sign up, as a matter of fact, Tim. You don't have to give your personal details. Pluto TV is easy and a completely legal way to watch your favorite TV shows and hit movies. You don't have to do like Tim and stand in the neighbor's garden peering in through their window, watching their TV content. Now you can do it from your own home. 100 TV channels, thousands of movies, all on demand, all for free. Pluto TV. No credit card needed, no sign up. It's easy, it's completely legal, and it's a great way to watch your favorite TV shows and hit movies. What are you waiting for? Never pay for TV again. Download Pluto TV for free on all of your favorite devices today. All right, Timothy, David, Dennis.
Wow!
Let's get started. Tomorrow, I should mention, the holy water incident, the true story of a daughter's possession and exorcism. Bill Dorian, our guest, tomorrow on the program. But today, we're going to report some of the best in supernatural news from around the world. Tim, where shall we begin tonight's journey?
Evidently with a security breach in my data, I guess. I don't know.
What? It's not like I gave your social 487.
What? No.
Well, I didn't give that out. It wasn't like I gave that out over the air, Tim.
But you were close. We're going to London, Dave. To
dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, you nailed that one. We're going to London's most haunted school. It's not a new series. No, it's a terrifying ghost hunt, however, that's taking place there. It's claimed that previous participants have been left so scared that they ran off without even collecting their coats or bags. That means that they're spending money on more coats and bags. Tormented cries from children, unexplained laughter, and loud bangs, floating lights. Would you like to spend a Saturday night there, Dave? It sounds to me like it may be a little nerve-wracking. You can now tour one of London's most haunted locations, the Ragged School, which sounds like a great place to obtain an education for an overnight ghost hunt. You can access all areas of this abandoned school where there's paranormal activity and strange sightings, and they've been repeatedly reported. Creepy sounds have even been picked up on recording devices. Tickets are now being sold for the Ghost Hunter Tour. If you can brave an experience that has, the organizers claim, made others run, so terrified that they wouldn't even return for their coats and bags. The Ragged School was opened in 1867. What's that?
Huh?
Oh, I thought you said G's?
No, I said wussies. Wussies is what I said.
Okay. Well,
you and I, what we should do is go in there and collect those coats and items and try to get a healthy reward.
Either that or donate them to charity. We should just be really good guys.
No. I got a lot of mouths to feed, Tim.
Okay.
Mouths to feed, yeah.
All right. We'll be bad guys. we'll sell them.
We're not being bad guys. They're afraid to go in and get them. We went in and got them. We did the hard work. We brought them out. I think we deserve a reward.
Okay.
All right, good. I'm glad we're on the same page finally, Tim. Why do I have to beg you to make money?
I just thought maybe we could give them to the poor and they could be warm this winter, but okay.
Hey, the poor can go in there and get the damn bags and jackets themselves. Maybe they can get the reward. We'll fist fight the poor to get the... I've got a whole new pay-per-view system set up, Tim. Tim and Dave take on the poor for the rights to the stuff that's left inside this place. What do you say?
We're going to fight them to stay warm. That somehow now that's just morally wrong. No, I think we're going to make a lot of money on that pay-per-view, Dave. The Ragged School opened in 1867, offering children a free education while the cholera epidemic swept the capital. The organizers say only the bravest souls should consider a lone vigil in the upstairs cupboard or the basement. This ghost hunt is not for those who are faint-hearted or easily frightened. You have been warned. You've been warned, Dave. When Dr. Thomas Bernardo, domo arigato, Dr. Thomas Bernardo, came to London. came to London from Ireland in 1866. He arrived to a city that was rife with poverty, disease, and overcrowding. Educational opportunities for the poor were non-existent. He gave up his medical training after watching the cholera epidemic sweep through London to become a missionary, and in 1867 he opened his first ragged school where he offered children a free basic education. Some 10 years later, Bernardo's Copperfield Road Free School opened its doors to children, and for the next 31 years educated tens of thousands of children. When it closed in 1908, enough government schools had opened in the area to serve the needs of local families. The buildings, originally warehouses for goods transported through the Regent's Canal, then went through a variety of industrial uses until in the early 1980s they were threatened with demolition. It was then that a group of local people joined together to save them and reclaim their unique heritage. The Ragged School Museum Trust was set up, and a museum was opened in 1990. The museum was founded to make the history of the Ragged Schools and the broader social history of the Victorian East End accessible to all. Within the original buildings, an authentic Victorian classroom has been set up where each year some 16,000 children experience a school lesson as it would have been taught more than 100 years ago. There's also a recreated Victorian East End kitchen from the 1900s, demonstrating what life would have been like in a simple one-room home with no electricity or running water. So there you go. You just run in there, you grab a bag, you grab a coat, because evidently it's too damn scary for anybody else to stick around in.
All right. Well, if that's the way you're going to be about it.
It's not me, Dave.
No, I know them. I'm talking about them, all of them I'm pointing to out there, Tim, all the listeners, all the people that are too chicken to go in and get their own damn bags and their jackets they left behind.
Right.
Puddin' heads. Puddin' heads. Greetings, Dave and Tim.
Hi.
I've been listening to you guys for about a year, and I enjoy the podcast very much. I've been living with the assumption that I have lost my senses for over a decade. Because she waited that long to find our radio show? Could that be it, Tim?
Maybe.
I don't know if it's a she. I shouldn't assume that. I haven't read the name yet.
Ooh.
Although it's just signed Professor X. So I don't know if it's Xavier or Exanita. I don't know what that is.
I bet you it is Xavier.
Could be. Anyway, I've been living with the assumption that I've lost my senses for over a decade, but I am no longer so sure of that, having learned about the Mandela effect. Let's just call it what it is, the Kirk Douglas effect, Tim. That's what it really should be. In my reality, that's what it's called.
Okay.
Let me describe what happened to me, and please offer an opinion. I've withheld my name for obvious reasons. If my wife hears this, she'll be very concerned for my sanity. All right, Professor X. Now, we have two. I can't even say we've got another lead. He's talking about his wife, but this is 2019. That could mean anything anyway, right?
True.
I'm a retired inorganic chemistry instructor. And when I left that profession, I was a systems analyst for a major telecommunication corporation. Now, I'm just curious, Tim, if you're that specific into your detailing of what you did in the past in your jobs, and your wife listens to this show, is there a chance she might have just picked up on that clue right there?
Oh, I think she knows who you are. Yeah.
Yeah. You should have thought that out, Professor X.
Yep.
He goes on to say, when you change your phone service carrier but can keep your phone number, you can thank me for my part in developing the software that allows that. Well, thank you, Professor X.
Thanks, Prof.
Right, because Tim was upset when he thought he was going to have to give up his phone number 612.
Dave.
Well, I'm just telling people what number you almost lost,
If you tell
Tim.
people what my number is, then I have to change it.
Well, you don't have to, though. This guy developed the software, Tim, that'll allow you to just move to another phone company and take the phone number 612.
Don't tell them what the number is so I can take it over with me, okay?
What a baby. Anyway, while I was teaching and supervising a laboratory exercise, I stuck my head on a ventilator hood and lost consciousness. Oh, struck, not stuck, Tim. They're two different words.
Yes.
I just want you to know. Stuck means to adhere. Struck means to be hit with,
I believe. Whack that sucker. Yep.
Let's try that sentence again, Tim. Anyway, while I was teaching and supervising a laboratory exercise, I struck my head on a ventilator hood and lost consciousness for a short moment. My department had sent me to get an MRI from the university hospital. The weather that day was horrendous. Thunder. Lightning. I don't know what the sound of actual lightning is, Tim, but that seemed like it would be it to me.
That sounds crispy to me.
Hail. Is that coming through as hail?
Yeah, to me it is, yeah.
And a driving summer rain. Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. Lucky for me, I just had to sit in the front seat of the van and press an ice pack on my throbbing head. Upon arrival at the University Hospital, I was examined and sent to an outbuilding that housed the MRI machine, Tim. Then the latest diagnostic tool, and was positioned inside of it for some kind of analysis. The sense of claustrophobia was overwhelming for me while inside that metal cylinder, and I desperately wanted to remove myself from it. The machine initially made a series of disturbing banging sounds. I
don't know that that's the banging. Yeah.
Wrong. Oh, it's like that.
Yeah, more like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, you can understand. I mean,
I can see where you get confused. Yeah.
They made a series of disturbing banging sounds as the device subjected me to intense magnetic fields. Sometime during the process, there was a very loud bang. Did that come over clearly?
Yes, it did.
And a momentary power failure. Followed by a resumption of the process. Don't worry about this, Professor. We have everything under control. It sounds a lot worse than it is. The scan completed after another eternity, and I was sent home with a packet of cautions and directions. I was taken home to my apartment by a colleague. The first thing I noticed when we started home was the streets. This isn't right. Everyone is driving on the wrong right side of the road. I figured this disorientation must be due to my head injury, and I accepted that explanation for some 12 years. In time, as I read and consumed the media, I saw more evidence of my head injury, and I was astonished to find that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated and did not commit suicide by pistol. Wow, that is a twist. Yeah. Frederick Douglass was not assassinated in Baltimore. George Norrie was never the voice of Detroit baseball. Was he the voice of Detroit baseball, Tim? In this alternate world?
I don't seem to think so. He was a voice in St. Louis, but never Detroit, I don't think.
Right, yeah. There are only 50 stars on the American flag. I wonder how many there were. See, I want to know what the other side of each one of these stories he remembers. A scar on my left hand is now on my right hand. Linus Pauling, who won 2 Nobel Prizes, not 3, he did not discover the structure of DNA. The crew of Apollo 13 survived. There was a Spanish-American War. The Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis, taking all of the season tickets receipts with them. I was never drafted and did not get my undergraduate degree on the GI Bill. The 1916 Miami tsunami never happened. Bromo Seltzer went out of business. Nixon was impeached. Those are all the things that he found had changed since he got here, Tim. That's a lot of changes. It's a lot of changes.
That is.
I wonder, there's got to be more to that. I mean, I'm curious, Professor X, and your now clued-in wife. Did you remember other aspects of your life in particular? You know, other aspects that you can't connect to anymore. It's a fascination to me now. That's really an interesting story. What a weird twist.
Looking up Norrie's biography, grew up in Detroit. He actually worked for WCAR AM in Detroit, but as a newscaster.
Yeah.
He was a news producer and executive news producer at WJBK TV in Detroit.
Was he ever the voice of Detroit baseball?
No, never mentioned sports.
So see, in the alternate reality, George Norrie was the voice of Detroit baseball, but not in this reality. Hey, Tommy! Do you think that'd be how it'd be? Swing and a miss! People always tell me I sound like George Norrie anyway. Do I sound like George Norrie to you?
Not in the slightest bit.
No, that's what I think. People are always like, oh, you sound like George Norrie.
Not even close.
I didn't think so.
No.
It's kind of weird that people say that. I'm sure our friend Bart L. will take that little segment and then pair it up online somewhere with some George Norrie trying to pretend he's me. I could be wrong. All right, what's our next supernatural news tale?
Next, we go to somewhere in Russia, I believe. The ghost of a Russian poet is trying to warn America. This, according to a paranormal specialist. The ghost of Russian poet Sergei Yesenin is trying to warn America about a cataclysmic event that could occur there in 2022. This, according to a specialist in paranormal activity. He visited America in 1922, and I believe that he is now trying to warn them about a possible bad thing happening there on the 100th anniversary of his visit. This, according to Mikhail Miller, a self-described paranormal expert whose latest book is titled Practices for Changing Your Future. This at a press conference Thursday afternoon. The Yesenin Center Museum in central Moscow called the press conference after a security guard spotted a shadow in front of the building on the night of July 18th. The museum is dedicated to the poet who died at age 30 in 1925. During the press conference at the NSN radio station's offices, a video played showing the security guard, Olga this one's a tongue twister, Korolyov, watching a security camera recording.
Dear Dave and Tim,
Yeah.
Here your show am very pissed off. How dare you to misrepresent name of famous Russian person?
Korolyova.
Stick in your own pipe and smoke it,
Yeah.
Sergey.
Thank you, Sergey. Olga Korolyova. There we go. Watching a security camera recording from the previous night and appearing frightened as a shadow moved across the ground in front of a museum for about 5 seconds. The shadow could have been caused by dust collecting on the camera lens. A video journalist attending the press conference told that to the Moscow Times. Korolyova, there we go, nailed the ending, spiked it right there, Dave. Added that over the past year, she had often heard strange sounds like knocking on the walls or unidentified objects rustling quickly during the night shift. It couldn't have been our cat, Katya. That's the cat's name, Dave, Katya. Clever, huh? Said the director of the museum, Svetlana Shetrakova. She doesn't make sounds like that. Shetrakova said that Yesenin's ghost has previously made appearances at the center, which opened up in 1995, and that his appearances have also foreshadowed historical events. We were rushing to get the museum open in 1993, but we were just not able to make it in time, she said. The night before the White House burned, a reference to the day tanks fired on the Russian Parliament building in Moscow in October of 1993 during a political standoff between then Russian President Boris Yeltsin and the army. My favorite portrait of Yesenin fell off the wall. Shetrakova had earlier arrived to the NSN offices late and flustered. That's the name of my new album, by the way, Late and Flustered. Stopping to give the Moscow...
Really, that was my life every time my girlfriends told me, hey, I haven't had my period.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah, Late and Flustered.
Yeah, that was my nickname as well.
Yeah. Stopping to get the Moscow Times quick comments before heading inside. My phone didn't charge overnight, and then I got lost on the way, she said. Some forces were trying to prevent me from getting here, and that is your story.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. What's our next story, Tim?
Next story, we go to Hollywood, Dave, where Kristen Stewart. Thank you, Carol Channing. Kristen Stewart is talking to ghosts. This, according to 8 celebs are in the news who claim they've had paranormal experiences. Kristen Stewart is one of them. That Twilight alum appears on the cover of Vanity Fair for their September issue to talk about the Charlie's Angels remake. You can hold your excitement till the end of the article. Charlie's Angels remake.
Actually, the commercial does look pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you. It does. I was a sucker for the Drew Barrymore Charlie's Angels. I thought they were a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
So the new one, I was like, oh, God, Kristen Stewart. But it looks good when I saw the ads for it. Anyway, I digress.
Where she plays, but she also reveals a lesser-known fact about herself. She talks to ghosts, Dave. Kristen Stewart does, especially the ghosts of Robert Pattinson, evidently.
Oh, no, he doesn't even have a bad career. Isn't he going to be Batman?
Yeah, he's going to be Batman.
He goes from a vampire to Batman.
Yeah, congrats on that.
Talk about getting pigeonholed.
Yeah. The ghostly topic came up when talking about the 2016 paranormal movie Personal Shopper. In the film, she plays a medium and personal shopper in search of her dead twin brother's spirit. She also spent a lot of time with somewhat undead vampires in her role for the Twilight series. The 29-year-old Stewart said, I talked to them and answered when asked if she believed in ghosts. If I'm in a weird small town making a movie and I'm in a strange apartment, I will literally be like, no, please, I cannot deal anyone else, but it cannot be me. Who knows what ghosts are, but there is an energy that I'm really sensitive to, not just with ghosts, but with people. People stain rooms all the time. I think she's talking about Robert Pattinson again. I'm not sure. Stewart is certainly not the first celebrity to describe encounters with the supernatural or ghosts specifically. We move on to Matthew McConaughey, who the actor had a similar experience.
Right.
Oh, yeah. He had a similar experience while working on a movie that was about a ghost while doing press for his 2009 movie, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. McConaughey.
Damn it, I did like that movie, too. I got to be honest with you.
Did you? Yeah.
I'm not a fan of McConaughey or Kristen Stewart. Charlie's Angels look good, and I did like Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
Yeah. He shared that his Hollywood home was haunted by a spirit named Madame Blue. That's just the tidbit there. Kendall Jenner is in this list. In October of 2018, the Victoria's Secret model revealed in a Vogue video, I do believe in ghosts. I do. She said, I don't know if I've ever seen one, but I've experienced some pretty ghosty situations. That's a quote from her. Gigi Hadid makes the list. Jenner's best friend, Gigi Hadid, said if she has had similar experiences. In that same video, she said, when we were kids, we lived in this really old house, and I was given the attic as my room. We used to hear this weird sound in the closet, and then we asked my dad, and he said this old lady used to live in the house. Instead of getting freaked out, the Hadid family said they made friends with the spirit. We convinced ourselves, and we would talk to her. We'd be like, girl, we'll bring you some tea. I don't know that would work for the ghost, though, but, you know. Kate Hudson and Goldie Hawn make the list. While appearing on Chatty Man in 2014, Kate Hudson divulged that she and her mom, Goldie Hawn, see dead people with a fifth energy. That's what they claim there. And Kesha then makes the list when she's not drinking her own pee in 2012. Kesha,
man, let it out. Let it pass. She made one mistake. You drink your own urine once, and people label you a pee drinker, Tim.
Disgusting.
Right. So I guess, yeah.
2012, Kesha told Ryan Seacrest on his radio show that her song Supernatural was about having sex with a ghost. It's about experiences with the supernatural, but in a sexy way, she told Seacrest. I had a couple of experiences with the supernatural. I don't know his name. He was a ghost. I'm very open to it. Emma Stone makes a list as well. In a 2014 appearance with The Late Night with David Letterman, she said that she had ongoing beyond-the-grave interaction with her grandfather. Selena Gomez makes the list. The Bad Liar singer also confessed to believing in ghosts. During a 2015 appearance on The Tonight Show, she told host Jimmy Fallon, I believe in ghosts, so I have a ghost app. I believe that spirits can tap into technology. Why not, right? That's what she went on to say there. And that's the list.
That's the list. Rounding out the list, huh?
Yep, breaking out the list.
Hi, Dave. That's it, Tim. That's as far as it went. Hi, Dave. My story goes like this. About 10 years ago, I moved into a friend of mine's house. He rented it to me, and that's when my contact with a demon or something evil happened. I was woken from a deep sleep at 3:06 a.m., and I smelt burning toast. Not thinking much of it, I thought it was my son coming home late and cooking himself something to eat. But to my amazement, it wasn't him. I was shocked at a loud bang on my bedroom door, and I jumped out of the bed to investigate. When I opened the door,
that door needs to get fixed.
Nobody was in the kitchen, and the crucifix that hung over the bedroom door was on the floor across the room, broken in half. I moved out the following week. Thanks for letting me share. And that comes from Jim. Thank you for sharing, Jim. Damn, that's a big creaky door you got.
Yeah, boy, I'll say.
All right, Tim, what's our next story?
Well, a 4-year-old's chilling claim, Dave, that he is the reincarnation of Princess Diana. That's what's up next. A dad has sent shivers running down people's spines after confessing the bizarre comments his son has made about the late Princess Diana. It turns out that Princess Diana may be back. Kids say the funniest things, but for the last 2 years, one young boy has been telling his parents something rather unsettling. According to Australian TV presenter David Campbell, his 4-year-old son Billy thinks he is a reincarnation of the late Princess Diana, and he claims to remember details from her life. The 45-year-old parent of 3 recounted the chilling tale in a column for Stellar magazine, which he describes as the weirdest thing he'd ever written. He begins by saying that his youngest son first started talking about the famous royal at the age of 2, with the toddler pointing to an image of her on a card and exclaiming, "Look, it's me when I was a princess." Despite not having been taught anything about the royals, Billy's strange comments continued and included one incident where he told his family about having a brother named John. Princess Diana's brother John died before she was born, and another when he mentioned his 2 boys, i.e. William and Harry. He started to refer to his 2 boys, recalls David, when asked what boys, our then 3-year-old would say his sons. "Okay, strange, but sure, mate," he went on to say. And if that weren't enough, the youngster also managed to accurately describe what Balmoral, the Queen's favorite residence, looked like, without even having seen it for himself. To a Scottish friend of ours, he claimed when he was Princess Diana, he used to go to a castle in that kilted wonderland. He described the castle as having unicorns on it and was called Balmoral, the dad said. The unicorn is a national animal of Scotland, and there are unicorns on the walls. And how does he know this? He went on to say. The boy's most recent comment is perhaps the most shocking of all, though, as he appears to discuss Diana's passing. Lisa showed him another photo of Diana, adds David. Billy said, "There's me as a princess. Then one day the sirens came, and I wasn't a princess anymore." Princess Diana.
Been there.
Yeah, well, that could signal a lot of things, especially when there's scalpels around. Princess Diana was married to Prince Charles between 1981 and 1996. They shared 2 sons. Tragically, she was killed in a car crash in Paris on August 31st of 1997.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got more news stories to share, more of your stories to share right here on Beyond the Darkness. The hit podcast based on the Emmy-nominated A&E series Cold Case Files is back with new episodes on Podcast One. Listen to powerful stories of crimes almost forgotten by the passage of time, with interviews of the people involved as investigators shine a new light on these cases and bring those responsible to justice. Download new episodes of Cold Case Files every Tuesday on Apple Podcasts and Podcast One.
Beyond the Darkness.
Welcome back to the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. That guy over there, that's Tim Dennis. And if I could, I would start playing Sarah McLachlan's In the Arms of the Angels right now as I appeal to you. In the arms of the angels. As I show you a close-up of Tim behind bars, his eyes filling with tears, his lower lip trembling. He reaches his dirty little hand out from behind the bars and says, "More, please." What am I talking about? How about supporting your buddies Dave and Tim with all the great work we do for you, all the great programming we bring to you? Do you know how you can support us? We're going to make it really easy. We're not asking for something for nothing. As a matter of fact, we're going to give you a lot of something for a little. That's all I'm asking, Tim. That's it.
That's it?
How do they? subscribe to our True Crime Tuesday podcast. It comes out every Tuesday. If you love our show Beyond the Darkness, you're going to love True Crime Tuesday. That's all I'm going to say about that. We cover some of the weirdest, bizarre, and most unusual true crime cases with some of the experiencers, with the law enforcement, judges, lawyers, survivors. And we also bring you the best in dumb crimes and stupid criminals every week. So you can be shocked with us and then spend the rest of the show laughing with us at the stupidity of people across the world committing crimes that are just too dumb to be believed. But luckily, they're not too dumb to be reported. We want you to join us in that journey. And by supporting our True Crime Tuesday podcast, by subscribing to that podcast, you help keep this podcast afloat as well. Because we charge just $5 for the True Crime podcast. Not every episode, Tim. No, not every episode. We're not charging $20 a month, Tim.
Right.
As much as you beg me to, we're not doing it.
Oh, I've never said anything like that.
Tim, we're not doing it. $5 for the entire month. That's what I'm going to tell. Tim would have you pay $20.
No,
I'm your pal Dave. I just want $5.
I never said.
Now you know why
like
he's
that.
behind bars with weepy eyes. He wants $20.
No,
your old pal Dave only wants $5. That's
I've
it.
never said anything like that.
Here's what you do. You subscribe to our True Crime Tuesday podcast. That helps support our structure so that we can continue to do this fantastic program and bring you the best in True Crime Tuesday conversations. So you get the best of the weekends with supernatural news and Parashare plus guests talking about all aspects of the strange and supernatural. Then Tuesdays you get True Crime Tuesday, and it goes a long way to help support us, support the programs, and keep this as limited in commercials as we possibly can. So please consider, if you haven't already subscribed, do it now. Subscribe to True Crime Tuesday. $5 a month. It's $1.25 an episode for brand new episodes. And then you'd be getting a bargain at that. But imagine that $5 doesn't just get you 4 brand new episodes, Tim. What if I told you it got you 100 plus episodes?
Wow. Well,
yeah.
I'd say that's a steal, Dave.
And Tim, exactly how many episodes would it give you of True Crime Tuesday?
I think we're up to like 216 now or something to that.
What? Over 200 episodes for $5 a month. You get brand new episodes delivered every Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you can access them anytime. Plus, you get access to over 200 past episodes.
Yes, Dave. Yeah.
No wonder you're so damn greedy and want to charge $20 a month, Tim, but I won't allow it.
No, I don't want to.
$5 a month because your pal Dave loves you. And I'm going to keep Tim in check. But I'll be able to continue to feed him in his dirty little money-grubbing hands through the bars of his fence, as long as you continue to subscribe to us. $5 a month. Do it right now. Go over to darknessradio.com and click on the True Crime Tuesday banner to get more information. You can also just go to patreon.com and look up True Crime Tuesday. Subscribe to us there. Never miss another minute in the best of True Crime Talk Radio. Okay. Tim, where shall we go next in the world of supernatural news?
Could I make just one other impassioned plea, Dave? For people to subscribe to True Crime Tuesday? Please subscribe to True Crime Tuesday, because TV producers, the next time I'm represented on television, are threatening to sub me for a 5'2" Cantonese man. So please, I'd like to represent myself on television, and they won't let me do it unless you subscribe to True Crime Tuesday.
Yeah, please do that. Subscribe now. All right, supernatural news. Where are we going, sir?
We're going to an oven, Dave. That's where we're going, where evidently we can cook up moon rocks and feed them to cockroaches. It's what NASA is now calling the special at the cafe there at NASA headquarters.
Moon rock casserole, come on in, you cockroaches. Is that what they call the astronauts now? No wonder the space program's in disarray, Tim.
Yeah, it's not a great menu over there. I would suggest skipping lunch if you take the tour. NASA fed Apollo 11 moon rocks to cockroaches, and then things got even weirder. Let's just say clothes came off, and we can't talk about that part. But NASA really did feed some of its precious moon rocks to houseflies and plants. And Dave, I don't know if you know how much these moon rocks go for on the open market, but we're talking
it's illegal. First of all, it's illegal to own moon rocks.
On the black market, Dave.
On the black market?
Yeah.
I don't know, 10, 20, $30?
A lot higher than that.
40, $50 maybe?
A lot.
Remember, I'm a radio guy. That's a lot of money, Tim.
Now we're talking like close to $100,000. Yeah.
Holy cow. And then you're going to grind it up and eat it? What kind of sickos are you?
Yeah, I know. It's just too weird. It's just too weird. It's too weird to make up, but NASA fed some of the precious Apollo 11 lunar samples to cockroaches. Wow. and dumped it into fish bowls, because why shouldn't fish eat it too? And injected mice with it. Really, I'm not making this stuff up. They did this stuff.
What?
Yeah, they did.
They were getting all these animals strung out on moon dust?
Yeah, well, when you got a party going on.
Oh, come on, pal. Hey, have a hit.
NASA still has most of the moon rocks the Apollo 11 crew brought home, but a small fraction of the astronauts' bounty was used up in a little-known but vitally important set of experiments that ensured lunar samples were safe to keep here on Earth. So they broke it up and injected a bunch of animals with it. Scientists were pretty sure that there weren't any potential dangerous germs living on the moon, but they couldn't be absolutely sure. So here's what they did. And while the retrieval of moon rocks was an incredible gift to science, it could have been quite a curse on Earth if those rocks had turned out to be a risk to terrestrial life. So as part of the agency's preparation for the mission, NASA had to put together a program of tests. We had to prove that they weren't going to contaminate not only human beings, but we weren't going to contaminate fish and birds and animals and plants, and you name it, Charles Berry, who was in charge of medical operations during Apollo, said in a 1999 oral history. Any of the Earth's biosphere, we had to prove we weren't going to affect it. So we had to develop an amazing program that was carried off really for 3 flights worth a lot of trouble. The astronauts themselves were shuffled into quarantine after their return to Earth, where they remained...
Meanwhile, they're getting fish and turtles and frogs and birds and cockroaches all strung out on moon dust, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a party over there at NASA. So they were shuffled into quarantine after the return to Earth. The astronauts themselves were where they remained isolated from all but 20 humans for about 3 weeks from the moment that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin left the moon. A collection of mice were also shot to fame while the astronauts were in quarantine. They were injected with lunar material and were monitored just as closely as the crew, who also joined in on the watch. They always wanted to know how the rodents were doing. Judith Hayes, chief of NASA's Biomedical Research and Environmental Sciences Division, who used to work in the building that once housed the quarantine facility and who has talked with scientists who accompanied the astronauts during the time, told Space.com. If the rodents did well, then they would likely be released on time. If the rodents weren't well, they would likely be examined much more carefully and longer. But confirming humans and mice would survive a chance lunar encounter wasn't enough, and keeping all other terrestrial life safe was a little more complicated than watching for coughs or rashes. One NASA document refers to trying to establish procedures as navigating a sea of ignorance, and emphasized that the authors couldn't predict how much moon rock the tests they outlined would consume. First, NASA chose the species it would use. In addition to the mice, the agencies and its partners also selected other representative species: Japanese quail to represent birds, a couple of nondescript fish, brown shrimp and oysters for shellfish, German cockroaches and houseflies for creepy crawlies, and more. Sadly, while we found images of the mice, birds, and plants, the moon rock-eating cockroaches eluded us. Then the agency tapped into its precious cache of 49 pounds or 22 kilograms of newly delivered lunar material. Scientists ground everything to dust, half of which they baked to sterilize, and half of which...
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, well, know...
yeah, man, that's some baked moon dust, dude.
Yeah, that's the stuff you snort. And then half of which they left it as it was. The prescription varied a little with animal type. Mice and quail got the lunar sample as an injection. Insects had the sample mixed into their food, and aquatic animals had the moon dust added to the water that they lived in. NASA watched the menagerie for about a month in case anything seemed to suffer from the lunar exposure. The German cockroaches that were fed moon dust, true to the insect's reputation, thrived despite the exotic diet, showing you that cockroaches can survive anything. And all the animals did well, with one glaring exception. Whether in lunar water or not, many of the oysters died, which the scientists chalked up to having tested animals during their mating season. The results of the tests provided no information that would indicate that the lunar samples returned by the Apollo 11 mission contained replicating agents hazardous to life on Earth. concluded the authors of a paper recounting the tests on lower animals published in the journal Science a year after Apollo 11. In addition to testing animals, NASA also worked with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to test plants for any adverse reactions to lunar material, just in case. As a USDA employee newsletter published in August of 1969 recounted, what will a little moon dust do to your tomato plants? Probably nothing. These experiments included growing seeds in lunar soil and tested not just tomatoes, but also tobacco, cabbage, onion, and fern. Some of these plants actually grew...
What about weed? What I really want to know is what happened to the weed.
I don't think they would have told you that one, Dave. I think they tested that one on the side in a double-blind study.
Now you know why Neil and Buzz were in quarantine, huh?
That's right.
Little puff pass on lunar dust grass.
That's right. Lunar.
Did you see that?
I see what you did. Right, that's great.
Puff pass on a little lunar dust grass. I like that.
I think your alliteration gets greater with the more you have. Some of these plants actually grew better in the regolith rather than in the sand scientists use as a comparison. Similar experiments were conducted after Apollo 12 and 14 as well, and tested a total of 15 different animal species, according to a NASA document. While the animal and plant tests were ongoing, NASA also cultured samples on petri dishes to search for any microorganisms that flourished. They didn't find any microbial growth on the lunar samples, and they didn't have any microorganisms that they at least initially attributed to any extraterrestrial source or lunar source, and the crew didn't have any signs of infectious diseases. And all the rodents survived the exams, so everybody did well, according to Hayes. Finally, NASA was confident that lunar regolith was harmless. After Apollo 14 in 1971, the agency stopped testing animals and ended the strict quarantine procedures for astronauts returning from the moon. It also stopped.
Why should the animals be the ones having all the fun getting high? Am I right? Huh? Am I right?
That's true. It also stopped quarantining lab technicians working with lunar samples who might have come in contact with the moon rocks as well. NASA had good reason to eliminate the animal tests, of course. Planetary scientists were unhappy about the amount of material which they viewed as wasted on the experiments and the extent to which quarantine diminished the focus on planetary research. That according to a NASA report. But for a few brief years, cockroaches ate the moon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dear David Copperfield and Timmy O'Toole. This guy just called you a tool, Tim.
Yeah, he did. That's not very nice.
I just wanted to give you praise for being so patient and doing such a great job on your interview with James Yolton and his topics on weather manipulation. I'm not going to lie, the episode was quite hard to listen to, and I somehow was able to finish it. He just seemed so scatterbrained and all over the place, not quite giving you the answers to the clear and concise questions you were giving him. He definitely went off the rails a few times. I would have thrown in the towel, but not been able to finish the interview, which shows you why y'all are professionals and I'm not the one with a podcast. That's true. Now, to my stories of the paranormal. This is a couple of stories shared to me by my brother-in-law, Miguel, in regards to two different UFO incidents, one being with my dad while on the road and one while he was alone. The first one happened around the late 1990s. Miguel is in his early years, up until his late 20s, was a bit of a pot smoker, Tim. Moon dust grass, you think, Tim?
Maybe, yeah.
Puff, puff, pass. At this time, he and my sister had their first child. Wait a minute. Let me reread that. I want to make sure I read this properly. Oh, brother-in-law. Okay, I want to make sure it wasn't his brother and sister had a baby together. That story might need to be cut out, Tim. But it's a sanitary story. His brother-in-law, Miguel, Tim, had a baby with his sister. So now we're clear.
Okay.
They had their first child, and instead of being a bad parent and bad influence, he would do his thing late in the evening and outside on the porch. As he was enjoying a late-night session, he was lying on his back looking up at the stars, just enjoying the summer night, when all of a sudden, coming up from the bottom of his visual range to right smack in the middle of where he was staring upward, this round disc with multiple lights slowly floated in the air and then stopped. It stayed in midair, and for what he said was about a minute. Then, in a snap of a finger, it shot straight up and out of sight. He didn't know what to think, wondering if it was from the effects of his few drags of smoke he had just inhaled. So instead of tripping and seeing something else, He just put the joint out and went inside. He seriously thought he was just imagining things, and it couldn't be real until, Tim, until, dun, 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 a few years had come and gone. Miguel and my dad now, at this time, were working for the same construction company, and we're working around Greeley, Colorado, Tim. It was late in the evening, and they were driving back from a job site. As they were on the highway driving and listening to music, chit-chatting, Tim, as they will, clucking away about the day's events and shooting the shit.
Wow.
What'd the shit do to them?
That's what I want to know.
They noticed something out in the distance behind them, off to the side. They were out of city limits, so it was very dark out in the countryside, allowing for them to easily see the bright glowing lights that were coming at them at breakneck speeds. When it finally caught up to them, it kept pace with them off to the left side, about 100 feet out, but still brightly lit and glowing. Due to how bright it was, they couldn't tell what exactly they were looking at. And at that, it lit up the whole road that they were driving on. It stayed with them for a few minutes until it decided to shoot off to the side towards the mountains. They sat in stunned silence, both wondering what the hell they had just seen. Seeing this brought back the memory of what he had seen all those years before, now knowing he definitely wasn't crazy or hallucinating. So there you have it. Thank you so much for taking the time to read my email. I've emailed before about my West Texas experience and also called about my son's experience in Houston, so thank you for broadcasting both of those. Keep up the amazing work. Your fan from ATX, Jesus, and not as in Christ, he says. Well, thank you, Jesus, not Christ. We appreciate that clarification. All right, Tim, what's our next supernatural news story?
Well, Dave, shock of all shocks, I have an article here in front of me that says people who believe in conspiracy theories are also more likely to believe in pseudoscience. Yeah.
It's like this could be kind of besmirching to us and our audience, but proceed. Or an equal opportunity offender.
I will here in just a second. For some reason, it went to a picture, and now it won't go back to the article.
What is the picture, Tim? Nudie pictures again? Are you looking at nudie pictures?
No, it just is a big wall.
It says sand trap?
No, it just says resist Agenda 21, terrorism attack from the government, resist the New World Order, Dave. I don't want to resist any of that stuff. I want to join.
I've
always been a joiner, Dave. But nobody wants to let me in on their little reindeer games, Dave. I feel so unincluded.
Not true. We included you in on haunted hospitals, and all you did was bitch about the fact that you were represented incorrectly, Tim.
Well, Dave, I'm not Dave Chappelle. I'm Tim Dennis. I would have.
Thanks for clarifying that for many of the audience who have been confused all these years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So here we have this story about people who believe in conspiracy theories, rather, are also more likely to believe in pseudoscience. I know it's a big shock, but if you believe in a secret group and the fact that they're controlling the world, if you believe in aliens at Roswell, if you believe in chemtrails, then you might also believe in astrology, homeopathy, or climate change denial.
And if you believe the children are the future, treat them well and let them lead the way.
This is all according to a new study. And right now somebody's raging at their phone or their radio or their device that they're listening to this on right now and calling me a bunch of names, which I don't mind, but I'm reading from an article, so you can be as mad at me as you want. The world is buzzing with information more than ever before, and we have access to nigh unlimited information via the internet, this according to the article. You can read about anything and everything, and we essentially have the sum of human knowledge at the tips of our fingers, yet throughout these trends, something unexpected happened. Instead of having a more accurate depiction of the world, people are having more and more baseless beliefs. The internet is buzzing with conspiracy theories. They've made their way into every layer of society, from our day-to-day browsing to the President of the United States, it says here in this... Dun, 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 dun. I don't think that's our national anthem, Dave.
It's close, I think.
You probably want to go back to school on that deal. Unsubstantiated beliefs, Dave, have infiltrated both.
Hell of a drug, Tim.
It is. Have infiltrated both public opinion and policy, and they've already are having a massive effect on society. Several research groups are studying this phenomenon. One particular group in Maryland has set out to see why people fall for these stories. They say the core issue is a failure to think critically. The quote is, "My main teaching and research focus is on critical thinking, accepting unsubstantiated claims, such as endorsing false conspiracy theories, psychological misconceptions, paranormal claims, and pseudoscience. Each represents a failure to think critically." This, according to the study's author, D. Allen Bensley, who is a psychology professor at Frostburg State University. In a study they recently published, the team studied the interconnection between conspiracy theories and pseudoscience, two types of unsubstantiated claims. They surveyed 286 psychology undergrads about their paranormal beliefs, endorsement of conspiracies, factual knowledge about psychology, and acceptance of pseudoscience. They asked participants how much they agree with general conspiracies, such as technology with mind control capacities, and how they are used on people without their knowledge, and then how much they believed in 30 specific conspiracies, such as alien ships crashed near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, and the U.S. government has covered it up. But researchers employed a trick. The second category included three types of conspiracy theories: conspiracies which have been debunked, conspiracies which have been proven true, and conspiracies which were made up. The quote here is, "We have found that measures of generic conspiracist ideation, specific fictitious conspiracy theory, and false conspiracy theory beliefs were all strongly and positively intercorrelated." That's what researchers write. The team found that participants who believed the debunked and fabricated conspiracy theories were more likely to believe in other non-conspiratorial, unsubstantiated claims, particularly pseudoscience and poorly supported psychological practices. People show an individual difference in the tendency to endorse unsubstantiated beliefs. It has been known for some time that people who tend to accept one false conspiracy theory, such as the claim that the 9/11 attack was an inside job, are also more likely to accept others as well. This is what Bensley told SciPost. Our research goes beyond this to show that people who tend to accept conspiracy theories also tend to endorse psychological misconceptions, pseudoscientific claims, and paranormal and superstitious claims. This makes a lot of sense when you think about it. If the unsubstantiated evidence is enough to make you fall for conspiracy theories, it's probably enough to make you also want to believe in other unsubstantiated things like pseudoscience. But there is a nuance, researchers say. People who believe in some conspiracy theories are more likely to believe in other conspiracy theories and also more likely to believe in pseudoscience. However, the correlation is much stronger with the former than the latter. In other words, conspiracy theories are also related to pseudoscience, but they're much more related to other conspiracies. It's an important distinction to make, Bensley stresses. It's also important to note the limitations of the study. The sample size is not particularly large for starters. Second, psychology undergrads might not be representative of the entire society in this regard. This is a well-known issue in psychology, but one for which there is no clear-cut solution. Gathering participants from your own university is vastly easier than getting them from the outside, but this can produce important biases in study results. Nonetheless, the results in this study are coherent with those of previous research, particularly the aptly named study on the reception and detection of pseudo-profound bullshit. That is what it says here, which found that a bias toward accepting statements as true may be an important component of pseudo-profound bullshit receptivity. That's an interesting name. A lack of skeptical thinking is one of the major issues fueling both conspiracy theories and pseudoscience. We need more critical thinking in the classroom and policymaking and in our day-to-day lives. It goes on to say how that can be accomplished, however, is not clear at the moment. The study, The Generality of Belief in Unsubstantiated Claims, was published in Applied Cognitive Psychology.
Hey, we want you to share your stories with us. Call our Voices from Beyond voicemail. Tell us your strange supernatural encounters. 651-300-4977. No more excuses, people. We're coming into our holiday season, August, September, October. This is the witching time of year. There's no reason for you to sit on your damn stories. Call up, share your tales with us. 651-300-4977. Tell them how much it costs to call that phone number and leave us a story. Tim, tell them.
$49.95?
No, not at all, Tim. No. Not at all. Try again.
$39.95.
Swing and a miss, Tim. Swing. That's two strikes. Come on, Tim. How much does it cost to call us and tell us your story?
I'll go $19.95.
You're incorrect, Tim. We don't charge anything. We do it for free. We want to hear your stories. People around the world want to hear your stories. How can you share them? Call 651-300-4977, just like this caller.
Hi, Dave and Tim. This is Adriana from Florida, and I thought I'd just call in to share a paranormal experience that I've had. So when I was 15 years old, I remember having a bad dream. And the dream was that I was in what looked to be like a hospital or something, and it was abandoned. And there was a dark entity that was chasing me. And it got a hold of me, and it was like holding me down. And then I remember I immediately woke up from the dream. My eyes were open, but I couldn't move my body. I tried to move, I couldn't move. I tried to scream for help. I couldn't do that. I couldn't even open my mouth. It was hard to breathe. It was hard to move. It was terrifying. And I remember just struggling internally, trying to like get out of this trance or whatever I was in. And I didn't understand it. And while I was stuck like this, I heard my cat in the hallway outside my bedroom just meowing. And my cat is not a playful cat. She does things on her own terms, as most cats do, and she's just not that playful. And I remember hearing her meowing, and then I heard this unfamiliar male voice, older voice, as if he were engaging with her, like playing with her. And he would tell her, come here, and as if, he was just interacting with her, and it was terrifying. I didn't know who this voice belonged to. I couldn't match it with a face that I knew or anything. It was just, and I couldn't understand why someone would be in our house in the middle of the night playing with my cat. It was strange, and it was scary, and finally, when I had control over my own body, I shot out of bed and I looked to see who was in the hallway. And of course, I could see my cat. She was out in the hallway of my bedroom door playing, just going in circles, meowing, looking very playful, which was not her normal. And then I could still hear the male voice talking to her. And there was no one there. There was no physical body, nothing, no shadow, no nothing. And it was terrifying. Ignoring the unfamiliar voice. And I just went to my parents' bedroom, and I was like terrified. And I couldn't really explain to them what was going on without sounding completely deranged. But I tried my best, and they were kind of like, it's okay, it's going to be all right, and I just had to go about the rest of the night. I just went and laid in the living room, wide awake, just terrified. No sooner I did find out that this was a sleep paralysis experience, but the whole thing with the unfamiliar voice, the spirit, whatever it was, playing with my cat, just added on another level of freakiness. From my childhood to like a little early adulthood, I'd say I've had a lot of experiences. And it's always been just crazy. It's always been something I've had in my life and that I can never explain. And I do have to say, with your Beyond the Darkness radio, it's really comforting to me as an adult now to hear stories and listen to people who believe in things, like professionals and stuff, and talk about it and explain it to people, whether it be about ghosts or aliens or, conspiracies or whatever. It's just nice to hear other people's beliefs and experiences, and I appreciate your show Beyond the Darkness Radio. I hope you enjoyed my experience or can use it for your radio show. It's okay if you can't, but thank you. Bye.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing your story. And we're serious. Give us a call. Share your story. You can leave up to a 3-minute story. If it's longer than 3 minutes, just call right back and continue your story. Tim will work his supernatural magic and take the multi-pieces and tie them together into one cohesive story. That's the kind of power that man wields. So call us now.
I wield power.
651 300 4977. Did I say the number slow enough that time, Tim?
I think so. Try it one more time.
651 300 4977.
Call that number. It's our Voices from Beyond voicemail. Tell us your story. Tim, where are we going next in the world of supernatural news?
We're going to Maryland, Dave, where an investment advisor admits he is profoundly humiliated at a 20-year sentence he got in a fraud case.
Do tell.
Well, I don't know quite how he's humiliated, whether he's humiliated at the sentence or what it was he was caught being fraudulent
Usually
with.
It's right. Well, we always pretend we're humiliated for doing the crime. What we meant is we're really humiliated we got caught during the crime.
Okay. A Maryland investment advisor was sentenced Wednesday to 20 years in prison for defrauding investors out of millions of dollars, some of which she spent on astrological gems, cosmetic medical procedures, and religious rituals in India. Some of Don Bennett's victims tearfully and angrily described their financial ordeals before U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes sentenced the 58-year-old woman who already has spent nearly 2 years in jail. "Don, you ruined my life," 65-year-old Jean Dullness of Baltimore said, her body trembling as she described how she lost her life savings. "I fear I may never get to retire." Zinnes also ordered Bennett to pay more than $14.5 million in restitution to her victims. Justice Department prosecutor Aaron Police said Bennett defrauded 46 investors out of more than $20 million in less than 3 years.
How many investors?
46 investors out of more than $20 million in less than 3 years.
So this guy could get 46 investors to give him $20 million, and we can't get 2,000 people to give us $5 a month to get subscriptions? What kind of... I think we need to go to India and get black magic practitioners to help us, Tim.
If that's what it takes.
Maybe what we need is just 40 listeners willing to pay $20 million to listen to the show.
I guess so. I don't know.
I'm willing to try it if that's what it'll take.
I guess. Bennett, who didn't testify at her trial last year, read aloud a statement in which she vowed to devote the rest of her life outside of prison to repaying every penny she took from her investors. "I am so profoundly humiliated that it will be difficult to ever shake it off," she said. A jury last October convicted Bennett of all 17 counts in her indictment, including charges of securities fraud, wire fraud, and bank fraud. Prosecutors recommended a 25-year sentence for Bennett. Federal sentencing guidelines called for a prison term ranging from 27 years to nearly 34 years, but Zinnes said a sentence within that range could mean Bennett dies in prison. She said Bennett sent her victims to their financial graves while using their money to maintain a lifestyle of luxury. She made the choice not to change her lifestyle one iota, she said. Jurors heard testimony that Bennett used investors' money to pay more than $800,000 for prayers by Hindu priests in India to ward off federal investigators while her business was collapsing. Bennett paid a man in Washington state to arrange for the rituals while she faced a Ponzi scheme investigation by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. I am in a very, very tough fight going against my enemies, and I need all the help I can get, Bennett wrote in an email to Puja.net website operator Benjamin Collins. Investigators also discovered evidence in Bennett's home in Chevy Chase, Maryland, that she tried to silence SEC investigators by casting hoodoo spells, according to an FBI agent's affidavit. Agents found instructions for placing people under a beef tongue shut-up hoodoo spell. I
think I ordered that platter at a restaurant recently.
I think I did as well. It wasn't that tasty. And found the initials of SEC attorneys written on the lids of mason jars stored in Bennett's freezers. This according to the affidavit. Hoodoo is a set of magical or spiritual practices and beliefs with origins in West Africa. However, jurors didn't hear any testimony about paranormal practices during Bennett's trial. The FBI's investigation of Bennett began in December of 2015 after the SEC formally accused her of defrauding investors by inflating the amount of assets she managed and exaggerating the returns on her customers' investments. Prosecutors said Bennett didn't tell investors in her luxury sportswear company that she was using her money to pay off other investors or to cover personal expenses, including more than $141,000 on astrological gems, more than $100,000 on cosmetic medical procedures, and $500,000 annually for a lease for a luxury suite at the Dallas Cowboys' home stadium. Well, that's quite nice money.
What?
Yeah.
In what year is this taking place?
Well, this was between 2015 and now, so...
Who would pay that kind of money to watch the Dallas Cowboys now?
Somebody out of their minds. Police said that Bennett's victims...
not police, Tim? Police?
P-U-L-I-C-E.
Maybe you're reading P-O-L-I-C-E as police.
No, police.
Okay.
Said Bennett's victims included cancer survivors, a retired FBI agent, and at least one relative, a cousin whose special needs trust she raided. These were highly vulnerable victims, the prosecutor said. During the trial, defense attorney Dennis Boyle said Bennett was free to mix her personal and business expenses and argued that her religious practices are irrelevant. Bennett used promissory notes to raise millions from investors in her company, DJBennett.com, authorities said. Some investors were longtime friends. Others knew her from Financial Myth-Busting with Don Bennett, a paid weekly radio show she hosted in the Washington, D.C. area. Many investors lost their life savings or retirement funds to Bennett, who promised a 15% return on their investment, according to trial testimony. 63-year-old Mark Hale said he lost approximately $200,000 in the scheme and has had to put off his retirement plans. She has betrayed my trust and the trust of my family, he said. We were victimized by her, and a lot of us can't recover from that. Bennett provided investors with falsified balance sheets and other fraudulent documents to make her company appear profitable when it was in abysmal financial shape. This, according to Assistant U.S. Attorney Gregory Bernstein. He told that to jurors. Boyle tried to depict Bennett as a fraud victim herself, saying she invested more than $8 million of her own money in her online business and relied on false financial numbers and records prepared by her company's chief financial officer, Bradley Moscow. Moscow pleaded guilty last year to conspiring to commit securities fraud and awaits a separate sentencing hearing in August.
Good God. All right, where are we off to next?
Next, we go to a new documentary on a real-life house from The Conjuring, which is set to air here. The decade mainstream horror has been defined by one Titanic franchise, which is The Conjuring. James Wan's money-making universe has spawned sequels and spin-offs, but the real-life house at the center of 2013's first The Conjuring has become a paranormal landmark. A couple was so interested that they bought the Rhode Island home and plan to open it for public tours. for all you aspiring ghost hunters. But before you do, the Ghost Adventures team, led by Zak Bagans, are set to investigate the hotspot in a 2-hour special this Halloween. The press release, US TV, laid out the plans for the October 31st show. A 2-hour Halloween special, Ghost Adventures Halloween 2019, takes the team to Rhode Island for an unforgettable lockdown inside the real-life home that inspired the iconic horror film The Conjuring. The home's hauntings were also made famous by renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. In the movie, Ed and Lorraine Warren are portrayed by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga throughout the series. They visited the home in the 1970s, and their horrific findings inspired the hit movie, Ed and Lorraine Warren, that is. The house was built in 1736 and is allegedly haunted by the spirit of a woman named Bathsheba Sherman. Bagans, a lifelong ghost enthusiast, could barely maintain his excitement about visiting the legendary home. He says, "I've investigated a lot of places, but these locations are absolutely terrifying on a whole other level. The real-life house that inspired the Conjuring movies, I'm speechless. That has been a dream of mine to investigate for years, and I can't believe it's finally happening. It's beyond legendary, and I can't wait for viewers to experience this terrifying adventure with us." Ghost Adventures Halloween 2019 will air on October 31st. On here it says on Really, but it'll be on the Travel Channel as well. If you have that's a web link there. So there you go.
Did you just have a mental break?
No, they put a web link at the end of the story. So
that was funny. Sorry. Hi, Dave and Tim. My name is Ileana. I've been listening to your show for almost a year, and I love it. So my experience happened about 10 years ago. I'm 27 now. Do you have to kick off your shoes to figure that one out, Tim?
No.
Okay. I don't remember every detail. I just can't forget how it felt. It was a Friday, and some family came to visit and stay the night at our house. I had let my aunt, uncle, and cousins stay in my room since it was big enough. I was going to sleep in the empty bedroom that some believed was haunted. Da-da-da-da-da! But at that moment, I wasn't thinking. So the first night there, I slept with some music on because the room was creeping me out, and I felt better if there was noise in the background. I dreamt that something was spilling acid on me. While my blanket was dissolving, I tried getting up, but I couldn't move or talk. I was so scared, all I can think about is yelling for my mom. While I was panicking, I could hear Insane in the Membrane from Psycho Realm was playing in the background. Insane in the Membrane. Really going to leave me hanging like that, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, bastard boy. It was in the middle of the song that I finally got up to go. But when I got up, it was in the middle of a completely different song. This is the first time I ever experienced that. So I just thought it was a really bad nightmare. So I stayed up and watched South Park until I forgot about the whole thing and went back to sleep. When I finally went back to sleep, I had a dream that I was in this apocalyptic world of all of a sudden this black dog was chasing me. I woke up to the next day and I told my mom and aunt about the dream with the dog. I didn't tell them about not being able to wake up because I didn't want to sound too crazy. So when I told them about it, my mom said that she had dreamt about one of her kids calling out to her. That freaked me out. Anyway, later that night, I was relieved. I was able to sleep back in my room, but whatever was in that spare room, I guess, followed me to my room. When I went to sleep, it happened again. I couldn't move or speak. This time, I saw a shadow of a man sitting next to me in my bed. It's weird because it was just this shadow, and I know it was staring at me. It gave me a horrible feeling. When I finally woke up, I was so scared, I woke up my mom and let her know what happened. I slept on the couch that night. Now, the third night it happened again, but this time I dreamt that he threw me to the floor and wanted to force himself on me. And in the dream, I just saw my mom and older brother standing there like they didn't care. After I finally was able to wake up, I ran to my parents' room sobbing. I've never felt so horrible. I actually slept in my parents' bed. After that, my mom put a candle in my room with a saint on it. Not too sure of what saint, but she prayed, and after that, I didn't have one again until a couple of years ago, but not with that shadow man. Well, my younger brother sleeps in that spare room now, and he says he gets sleep paralysis sometimes, and that he has heard someone trying to open the door. We don't know what it is or how to get rid of whatever it is. Well, Ileana, look up it's a free prayer. Look up the prayer of St. Michael the Archangel and say that prayer throughout the house. Open the windows, say the prayer, usher whatever this energy is out through the windows. If you're still having trouble, our guest, Bill Bean, you can find him on Facebook. He helps people that are having troubles like this. So you can always reach out to him. Ileana, thank you so much for writing in. All right, Tim, how many stories do we have left?
We've got at least 3. I know that.
All right.
A new
what do we have to next?
New documentary hopes to solve the outback mystery of Australia's Min Min lights. Most things aren't creepy when you write about them on a blissful Monday morning, but most things aren't the Min Min lights, a reoccurring and unexplained phenomenon that's been witnessed since before European settlement in Australia that remains creepy no matter what. Now, an Australian paranormal organization has set out to get to the bottom of the mystery in their forthcoming documentary, Search for the Min Min, expected to drop later this year. The documentary follows director Don Mears as he meanders throughout the outback in search of answers. The Min Min lights are balls of light that appear out of nowhere and vanish just as quickly. People have reported the lights chasing them, keeping pace with moving cars, and some have even attempted to shoot the light, resulting in it vanishing only to reappear soon after. There are also stories of people who attempted to chase the light, only never to be seen again. The lights have been described as both bright, but also dim, white, but also changing colors from red to green, and always disc-shaped and slightly above the horizon. The phenomenon got its name after being observed by a farmer based in Min Min, between Boulia and Winton in western Queensland, all the way back in 1912. Over the years, science has attempted to explain away the Min Min lights, but none of the explanations, from refraction to geophysical lights to bioluminescence, really seem to do it justice, and as such, Australia's thirst for answers only deepens. This will be the 3rd film to come from Australian skies, a homegrown paranormal documentary series, so you know this team well and truly has their head around the weirdness of paranormal Australia.
I've got a paranormal story of my own to share this week, Tim.
Okay.
It's really strange. So after my mom passed away, I've been looking for some kind of conclusive message from her, something to let me know she's still around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a crucifix that was given to me from the funeral home. They put some of the ashes inside the crucifix, right? And was given to me. My aunt got one as well. And I was just happy to have that little piece of mom to take around with me. So I would usually wear them when I go on trips, just figuring she loved to travel so much, and I would take her with me to these foreign lands and places. Well, after the Walking Dead cruise that we did this last year, the necklace vanished. Completely gone.
Okay.
Broke my heart. I mean, that was a piece of mom I could take with me everywhere. And fast forward to last week, I get done doing Midnight in the Desert, and I'm sitting up late and unable to fall asleep. So I start going through my Facebook, and I'm trying to answer old messages, and I'm going through, and I find an old message from my mom before her passing. And all I wrote, again, I have control of her account, so nobody else can get in there, and nobody else knows how. And I all I did was send my mom a message, and I said, Mom, if you're there, just give me a message. I miss you. Love, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, our son Max has been missing his glasses for a few days. And I told all the kids, I'm working, get up and find his glasses. So they were all up and scrambling and looking. And Damien decides he's going to look in these little Egyptian jars I have. Now, obviously, the Egyptian jars are so small, no glasses are going to fit in them. So I have no idea what's going through his 10-year-old mind that he's going to open up a jar to see if the glasses are in there. And he goes, "Oh, Dad, what's this?" And he walks into my room, and he shows me the jar, and inside the jar is the crucifix. Now, the necklace is gone, but the crucifix is there. So that's really weird. What happened to the necklace? How did the crucifix just reappear after, 6-7 months of having been gone and appear in one of our clay Egyptian jars?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
It's very strange. And that was a day after I sent her the message asking for a message. So, again, not quite sure what it is that happened, if it's truly a message from Mom, but I'm happy to be reunited with the crucifix with her ashes in it. So I thought I'd share that story, a little personal tale this week.
Yeah, that's
all right.
Quite the tale.
Where are we off to next?
We're going to talk haunted dolls in this story, Dave. This person bought a haunted doll on eBay, and now some bizarre things are starting to happen around the old domicile. This doll was bought off eBay and had a big surprise in store for its new owners. The previous owner of the marionette doll, Debbie Merrick, warned them that for a few weeks they had the strange object had started attacking her husband, scratching him in his sleep, removing her necklace, and even disconnecting the smoke alarms, but this didn't stop the potential buyers from bidding on the doll on eBay. In fact, quite the opposite, since loads of internet users showed interest, and the hefty sum of $1,100, or around 900 pounds, ended up being the winning bid. Lee Steer, a paranormal investigator from Rotterdam, was the lucky winner of the auction, and it didn't take long for the first worrying signs to show themselves. My dad was downstairs in the morning at this point, and the doll was still packed away, and he had heard like a tapping noise on wood. He said it was a bit unusual, explained the 30-year-old man. Later that day, he was watching the repeat of one of our live streams with the doll, and I was doing a live stream upstairs in my room. Then he said to my mom, my arm's hurting, continued the paranormal enthusiast. He had 6 scratches on his arm, and my mom shouted to me, Lee, you best get downstairs. Your dad's getting affected. He's got scratches on him. According to Lee, the scratches looked just like the ones that Debbie's husband, the previous owner, had experienced. We've gone months without anything unusual happening, and as soon as this doll is mentioned, things start happening, said the 30-year-old, who claimed that a picture frame that he had hung on the wall in his bedroom completely dismantled itself a few days later. We did a live stream opening of the doll that 35,000 people watched, and people contacted me saying that they could see the doll's eyes moving. Less and less comforting, especially the latest news that Lee has absolutely no intention of parting with this haunted marionette doll. So there you go.
All right. That'll do it. Let's read this. Okay. This is a question for us. Dave and Tim, have you in your life ever experienced feeling like you were living a previously lived moment in time, and that it's as if reality had almost predetermined it, yet because you yourself personally recognize a living or recurring set of events, you have felt that you knew what is about to happen next, and therefore feel that you have the ability to change what is to take place next? I ask this question because this is something that I've experienced many, many times since my understanding of existence, and I have never asked another soul about these strange experiences that I have. Just wondering what your take is regarding these types of phenomena. Anyway, thanks, man. Great show. Top notch. That comes from DJ. Well, it sounds like you're just in a heightened sense of deja vu. I don't know.
I have had those moments, but believe it or not, they've been moments I've dreamt about before.
Right, so precognitive dreams.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I've actually had the dream, and then I've been in that moment and thought, wait a minute, I've lived through this moment before, and then I've actually consciously later remembered that I've dreamt about it. So yeah, I mean that's where I've had that sensation before, but it's taken a bit for it to jar it out of my memory that I've dreamt about it.
All right, what is this our last story?
We have 2 more.
Okay, there you tease. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Zak Bagans continues to buy up some more haunted stuff, and it gets more and more interesting. He bought one of the Charles Manson murder homes, and it's not the one that everybody keeps saying online. It's not the Tate home. It's the La Bianca home, Dave. Charles Manson murder house was for sale for only a short time before it was snatched up by a willing and able buyer, and that being Zak Bagans, host of Ghost Adventures. Bagans is known for his interest in things paranormal, and it says here, and occultist. So the home seems to be a fitting addition to his already huge collection of oddities, except this one It says likely won't fit into the haunted museum, and you're right about that. It's a little too big to fit into the actual museum. The house did not belong to Manson. Instead, it was the home of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, who were murdered by members of Manson's family at his request. The murders were partially connected to the murder of Sharon Tate, only in that she and her unborn child were killed the day before by a similar request from Manson. Bagans was drawn to the home because nearly all of it is still original. He told Newsweek he was drawn to its history, the spectacular views and energy he felt while there. It's unclear if the house is haunted or filled with energy from the brutal murders, but Bagans is ready to find out. He shared a story of dogs disappearing from the property and said that past tenants have been spooked silly by seeming paranormal encounters, he explained. Bagans does not seem to have a set plan on what to do with the house. It's possible he'll host another documentary or television special at the house, similarly to his prior Demon House, which he also bought. The house, stationed in Gary, Indiana, was said to be demonically possessed. Bagans and his crew made an in-depth documentary on the hauntings of the house, which premiered in March of 2018. Bagans later made the executive decision to tear down the house because of the insane hauntings. Parts of the home now reside in his haunted museum in Las Vegas, so fans of his work can visit the haunting for themselves. As for the LaBianca home, regardless of what Bagans plans to use it for, if at all, the property is a giant asset. The two-bedroom home was listed for nearly $2 million and has beautiful city views. The house is in Los Angeles and was built in 1922, according to the Washington Post. This isn't Bagans' first interaction with objects or places related to Manson. He has a hefty collection of Manson artifacts, including a painting made with his ashes, Manson's prison crafts, and even the hospital gown that Manson died in. He acquired all for display at the museum. There you go.
All right. Yeah, everybody kept saying, oh, he bought the Tate house. No, the Sharon Tate house actually got torn down a long time ago. Yeah, this is the LaBianca mansion, they refer to it. I love that. It's a two-bedroom house in California, and it's considered a mansion. That means, Tim, well, that's good news for you and I. Then we live in a mega mansion because we've got 3 bedrooms.
Yeah. Well, at least in Los Angeles, yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So, very, very strange. Speaking of strange, I don't know. I don't think we did a movie review for the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
No, we haven't, actually.
So, I figured this is a movie that I think our audience would appreciate. Listen, Quentin Tarantino, he does some unusual and bizarre movies. There's no doubt about it. And you either love his stuff or you hate his stuff. But this one, to me, was pretty intriguing. It focuses on a down on his luck actor played by Leonardo DiCaprio and his best friend, stunt double, played by Brad Pitt, who uncannily seems to be channeling 1970s Robert Redford throughout this movie. Just his look and swagger, everything. It's very weird to me to watch that. They happen to also be neighbors to the Sharon Tate house. So there's this kind of strange construct of these two stories as you're seeing, the Sharon Tate and everybody involved in the murders and their lives kind of connecting with the Mansons. And you see this kind of slowly touchstones a couple times throughout the movie. So it's a fictional tale about a real crime. And without giving too much away, he does tip his hat with the title of this movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And for our fans of true crime, I think you're going to really enjoy this movie. People looking for justice and retribution are going to enjoy this movie for what it is. And it's just pure, unadulterated, dumb fun. I like the acting. It was slow moving, and I wondered why it had this slow burn, but the end to me made it all worthwhile and kind of was a great payout. I don't want to I hesitate to use certain words that they're using in the press to talk about the ending, but I liked it. Out of 5 stars, I would give it a solid 4.5 stars for entertainment, and reminding you that it does have an ending that would seem befitting of fans of our radio show. So 4.5 stars out of 5 from me. What did you think?
See, here's where I'll disagree with you, and I know why he stretches out the movie. He stretches out the movie because he wants to pack so much nostalgia into the movie. It's he's doing a little too much. He's trying to do too much with it, and there's a lot he can cut out of this movie in order to make it more compact and to put the same amount of feeling into it. In that, he's wasting too much time to tell the story. It does move a little too slow. It is drawn out. And in that, I guess it takes away from the story for me. It's not, to me, it's not one of Tarantino's best. He's done better. To me, I only go 2 3/4 out of 5 stars because I really do think, although I did like the ending, I thought the ending was creative, and I thought the ending was, to me, what it should be in a Once Upon a Time type movie. I really do think that, to me, it was too slow. It was just too slow. He took his sweet time getting to that finish.
And like I said, I didn't understand why it dragged so much through the movie until the end. And then I got it. I did, personally. And I'm not, some people it's going to connect with, some people it won't. I feel this is a very derision type movie. I think you're going to either really love this movie or really be offended and hate it. I think that's kind of the way it is. But I got why they did it. You're wondering, you go into it with one concept of what this movie is, and it's really not that at all. Mm-hmm. And it's more about the story of this down on his luck celebrity. And I loved watching that aspect because, first of all, I got to tell you, DiCaprio is a really good actor.
Oh, yeah.
And, sometimes I just get so tired of him, and I don't give him the credit. And same with Brad Pitt. I can't tell you the last time I enjoyed a movie with Brad Pitt in it as much as I did this. For his attitude, swagger, and the slight, just that kind of sardonic wit, I enjoyed it. Like I said, the ending made the whole movie snap into place for me, and that's what made me like it. I agree with you. They probably could have pared about 30 minutes out of this movie and made it even better. Yep. But with that said, I really love the nuances of the extra long scenes. To me, it was the director's cut. I hope to God he doesn't release a director's cut, which is 4 hours long. But I thought it was good. So Tim, not so much. Me, a little bit higher on the scale. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Dave at darknessradio.com. Tell me what your thoughts were on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. All right, our final story, Tim. Where are we going?
We're going to Florida, Dave, where a hypnotherapist was arrested for having sex with a client whom he kissed abruptly during a session. This, according to police. 63-year-old Robert Andrew Nichols, whose website bills him as a psychologist and paranormal phenomena investigator, was arrested Wednesday on a charge of being a psychotherapist, not a hypnotherapist, but a psychotherapist, engaging in sex with a client or former client, which is illegal in the Sunshine State. A woman who said she met Nichols during an adult education course at Santa Fe College in Gainesville told police in June of 2018 that he started asking intimate questions about her sex life after starting therapy sessions with him, according to an affidavit. 2 months later, Nichols kissed the woman on the lips out of the blue during a session. Nichols then asked the woman to go to his home where they had sex. He stopped charging her for services at that point, that according to the affidavit. Nichols and the woman continued to have sex and practice ritual magic. That's a little out of the hypnotherapist or psychotherapist realm at that point. Activities he claimed would benefit her mental health, but the relationship eventually fizzled out, and the woman asked Nichols for a refund. This according to court papers. A detective in Gainesville interviewed Nichols in March, but he refused to say whether the relationship was sexual. This according to police. A message seeking comment from Nichols was not immediately returned. An out-of-date website from 2015 identified him as Dr. Andrew Nichols and listed him as a member of the American Psychological Association, but a spokesman for the organization confirmed to the Post that he was not a current member. Nichols worked as a part-time instructor for non-credit recreational courses at Santa Fe College, including metaphysics and parapsychology, as well as classes on ghost hunting, witchcraft, and voodoo, according to a statement by the Post. At no time was he a professor who taught college courses, the statement said. Santa Fe College does not tolerate harassment, abuse, or violation of professional ethics of any kind. As soon as the college learned of Nichols' arrest, steps were taken to ensure that he was not currently teaching nor known to be on our campus. Nichols has also appeared on several television and radio programs to speak on paranormal topics, including Unsolved Mysteries and CBS's 48 Hours, according to his website.
Well, that's it for this week, kids. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. And please, again, if you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing to our True Crime podcast every Tuesday. You get this show for free. True Crime Tuesday is $5 a month, gives you access to every brand new episode, plus over 200 past episodes. So please go subscribe right now. $5 a month. Help support your buddies Dave and Tim in our endeavors and keep the motor rolling. We'd appreciate that. We'll be back next weekend with more supernatural news and Parashare, and we want to hear your stories. 651-300-4977. 651-300-4977. You can call and leave us your stories, or email me, Dave@darknessradio.com. That's Dave@darknessradio.com. We would love to hear your tales to share on upcoming episodes. And tomorrow we're back, Tim. We're going to be talking with Bill Dorian, the Holy Water Incident, the true story of a daughter's possession and exorcism. That's next on the best in Paranormal Talk Radio, Sunday edition of Beyond the Darkness.